Good evening. It is now 4 o'clock, and I have to call a meeting of the Beaufort County Board of Education Operations Committee to order. This is October 10th, 2023. Meetings being conducted at the District Education Services Center, Conference Room E, and also remote hybrid conferencing. The meeting will be live streamed on the school board's YouTube channel. We have had no requests for public comments. The first item on the agenda is the call for the Pledge of Allegiance. We try with me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I believe we have Mr. Nay with us. Yes, we need to have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I will second it. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We have no public comments. You need now a motion to approve the September 25th, 2023 committee meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Are you caught up? Okay. Okay. Next item on the agenda, sewer connection at WK Alston. Mr. Otting, are you on? Yes. I'm sorry. Okay.
Well, so I believe in the room with you is Mr. Steve Andrews with Andrews Engineering. And there is a request from the apartment complex behind Walmart to connect to WK Austin to make a sewer connection. So with that, I'll let Mr. Andrews take it over and explain what the easement request is for that he's making.
Can you, why don't you come up right up here if you would, please? Yeah. Good. Right there. Okay, go ahead, sir.
I was gonna, Robert, from where you're at, can you pull that drawing up?
Robin there in the room should be able to do it for you.
Okay, there you go. Yeah,
What do you need me to do?
there's a second drawing.
Okay,
Yeah,
that one.
that's the drawing. So the ask is to connect a force main that'll serve the apartments and then the adjoining properties. And it's in an effort to bring some relief to an existing Beaufort Jasper Water and Sewer Authority pump station. And that force main will tie into an existing force main that's projected inside the school property. And it might be easier if I just point at where this is occurring. So this is WK Austin. This is the Robert Smalls School. This would be your bus access, and then the school is over here. We've been here before talking about a connected road. That's not the topic today. There is an existing pump station that's over capacity. To help relieve that capacity, Beaufort Jasper and the developer are working together with the apartment developer to put a new pump station in and then tie into an existing force main that's in an easement that's on school property. So this is the school property. This is WK Austin. And then on the far side of that, there's a strip of school property between WK Austin and the apartment complex. So would be just inside of the school property. If you look at it in this blow up, the school, WK Austin, the strip of land, here's an existing easement. This is the school property line. So we're just inside of it. All the work is done within that easement, but it is still on school property, so we need your permission. The line would be built by the developer and then turned over to Beaufort Jasper Water and Sewer Authority, who would own, operate, and maintain.
And so there will be no disruption on WFK also.
Correct.
You probably won't even see it.
Correct.
It's wooded over there.
Yeah, it's wooded. That's a 30-foot easement, and then
Right.
we're on the outside 5 or 10
Right.
feet of it.
Mr. Ronnie, do you have any concerns?
No, like you just asked, there's really no impact on the traffic of WK Austin, so I do not have any concerns with granting this easement.
Mr. Nate, do you have any issues?
The only thing I was concerned about, or I guess curious about actually more than anything, is if we move forward with the additional road on the easement, is that going to affect have any effect on what's going on with the pump?
Referring to the connector road.
Yes, I mean, if we put a road in there, what's it gonna, it looks like the line is gonna run right underneath the connecting road.
Well, this is a graphic for one, just to get the detail across. The road will be just to the north of that line.
Okay.
All right, well, then I don't have any issue. Thank you.
Do we have a motion then to recommend the full board approve granting this easement?
Mr. Chair, I move that we take the committee's recommendation to the board for approval.
I'll second it. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you for getting me first on the agenda.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the construction update.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to provide an executive update. There is one project with yellow traffic lights that appear in this month's materials. It is Robert Smalls International Academy, slides 6 through 8 in our PowerPoint presentation. Once again, these yellow traffic lights are for budget and schedule concerns associated with the demolition phase of the original facility. Previously unidentified asbestos has been confirmed to be present in the exterior walls, and this asbestos must be removed properly and disposed of, and will require a new permit and additional time and funding. The new permit was submitted on September 29th, and DHEC review is underway right now, and we expect acceptance of that before the end of this week. The full analysis of the additional time and funding will require that GMP proposal from J.E. Dunn. J.E. Dunn is working on it. We've been in communications so far this week, but we anticipate we'll receive that before the end of this week. And in that, we are still forecasting that additional time will be required, somewhere in the range of 4 to 5 months. But once again, once we see the proposal, we'll be able to share additional information, but it is imperative to keep this demolition phase moving forward. I'll pause before I continue, just in case there's any specific questions associated with the asbestos that's been found.
Mr. Nate, do you have any questions?
Not about the asbestos, but the punch list not being projected to be finished until December. Is that normal? Like 4 or 6 months worth of punch list?
That's a very large project, and we do have some items that will require us to go into the month of December. We are working nights and weekends around the school's calendar so that we don't interrupt the learning environment. But the whole goal is to get these punch list items cleared just as quickly as possible.
Okay, so I mean, is there anything that's taken so long it's going to go into December? What seems to be the lag on the punch list?
I'd have to get that additional information. I don't have that detail with me. Perhaps, Robert, do you have any insight to what those items would be?
No, I do not. Yes, I do not have any additional information.
Can we have that by the board meeting, full board meeting that's brought up?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you. No other questions?
okay. Please go ahead, Rob.
No other questions? Moving right along, a quick update on St. Helena Elementary Gym entry canopy. That installation of the canopy has been completed. Ajax is completing the punch list items and is on schedule to have them all wrapped up before the gymnasium ribbon cutting ceremony. And that ribbon cutting ceremony has been scheduled. It is to take place on Wednesday, November 1st at 1 p.m. Moving along, talk a little bit about the project closeouts.
Wait a minute,
Yes, sir.
page 21. Got a yellow traffic light.
I apologize. There is a yellow traffic light in there associated with the permits for the new field house and that remaining athletics. It was anticipated to be received in September, but it is requiring some additional time. And we now anticipate that to be received this month.
Okay.
I apologize.
That's all right, go ahead.
Moving on to the project closeouts, looking at slides 61 to 63. This is a new format from what we have been using in the months past. This came out of the last clock meeting, and it was a recommendation from the clock chair, Ted Barber. What he requested is instead of reporting on the 30 projects that have been closed out, he would like the section to be prepared like you see it. Basically what this is it's a list that's comprehensive of everything that's in the current referendum that still needs to be closed out. And there's currently 35 projects that remain. And what you'll see as we go forward and we take project closeouts to completion, that list will get smaller and smaller. Wanted to point that change out to committee members. And the other thing that I'd like to update on the closeouts is, when you follow along on the 519 monthly financial report, we are also showing the financial commitments as they individually get completed. Not necessarily meaning that the whole project is completed, but as we complete the various line item tasks, there are now 153 financial commitments that have been completed to date. And this figure is up from the figure I shared last month, which was 136. Moving on to financial update, slide 65. These are figures through September 30th. The financial update is being reported with the green traffic light that you see at the top of the slide. The current referendum budget remains at $375,710,000. Paid and committed funds total $369,028,216. Paid expenditures total $263,468,700. $597. The remaining available funds, including contingency, total just over 6.6 million, and contingency activity in the month of September included the return of 1,649,649 and use of 2,952,844. Contingency remaining at the end of September total just over $1 million at $1,035,925. Analysis of the remaining available referendum funds and the remaining scopes is still forecasting a soft landing. Once again, that soft landing that I refer to is that there'll be referendum funds remaining at the end of the program when everything's completed. Moving on to community outreach slides.
Before you go.
Yes, sir.
What GMP contracts have yet to be signed?
We have the GMP that's going to be coming in for the additional asbestos abatement, and the other big one is the River Ridge Academy athletics scope that remains. And we've received the proposal, we reviewed it, and MBCon is working on some cost reductions and some pricing that we needed them to clean up, and that should be coming in this week as well, so that we should be able to bring that to the board at the next board meeting in November.
Yeah. We need that as soon as possible. Because that is what we tell our constituents about the 2018 referendum, is that we have all projects under GMP contract. And therefore, we have high assurance that we have a soft landing.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving to slide 72. I noticed this morning that today's materials required some revisions, and I apologize that the material was sent out like it was. I was on vacation at the end of last week, and when I came back, the material had been submitted. Basically, what I see is that there's some remaining 2023 bond referendum community information sessions that remain. And the ones that remain are, there's one tonight at 6 p.m. at May River High School, and that's where Robert's zooming in from right now. And then we have one at Bluffton High School on October 12th at 6 p.m. And that will be that multilingual Spanish option as well. And then the third one is at Robert Small's Leadership Academy on October 24th, once again at 6 p.m. And that has the Spanish language session option as well.
If I
And
can make just a real quick correction, the one Thursday night is not Bluffton High School, it's Bluffton Middle School.
oh, I misspoke. Yeah, I have it written here. It
Yep.
is, yeah, Bluffton Middle. Thank you, Robert. And the last item I wanted to update was related to our request for proposals and request for qualifications. RFQ 24003, that's the solicitation for professional design services for renovations and modification projects. Proposals were received on October 3rd. The selection committee is being assembled and proposals will be reviewed and evaluated as soon as possible. That concludes my updates. Be glad to answer any other questions.
Mr. Nate, do you have any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Further questions? Thank you very much, Rob.
You betcha.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the third quarter FOIA report.
Yes, sir. Afternoon, board members and staff. We continue to see the number of FOIA requests increasing. This quarter, we had a total of 26 requests, which is an increase from 19 the prior year. We've had about a 36% increase in requests for this quarter, and we're continuing to see an increase in requests. So many more than last year. I want to thank Ms. Molly Godley, who's sitting with us, for excellent work and helping us with FOIA. It takes a lot of time to compile this information, respond on a timely basis. And the yellow highlight means that requests are still being processed.
Any questions?
No questions.
Thanks. Board members, Mommy and I need to leave to go to May River to pick up cannabis, so I'm gonna be on the phone.
Okay,
So when I call in, Robin, it's me.
okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next item on the agenda, naming of new elementary school in Beaufort.
Okay, good evening. So regulation OS 28, naming of new schools, mascots and colors. The purpose is to establish the basic structure for naming Beaufort County School District facilities and selection of individual school mascots and colors. It's the board responsibility, says OS 28, naming new schools and determining their mascots and colors is the sole responsibility of the board. So I stand before you today because one, we need a motion to create a committee to do so. Ultimately, that's what we're here to do. I'm not sure, yes, you all have this documentation that's before me that stipulates all that we are supposed to do. Upon creating the committee, we will have numerous meetings to make sure that we are doing what's expected of us to make sure that we get the input from the community, SIC, schools, students.
How do we get input from the school that isn't?
So we will use, good question, we will use the surrounding schools, be it the SIC from the other schools, be it May River, Richardville, HE, McCracken. So they're those zones, right?
So what you need is a motion by the full board
To create a committee,
create the committee.
start the process for selecting us, yes.
So we need a motion to recommend approval of the request to appoint a board naming committee. Mr. Nate, would you make that motion?
The only thing I was concerned about first is like the OS 28 is from 2015. Do we not have a more recent version? I mean, is this the only policy for? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes, this is it. This is the only policy.
Oh, okay, all right.
It was
Well,
created in June of 2015.
all right, well then, all right, then I guess we recommend we take this to the full board.
Okay, I'll second that motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. So I'll get that up for business action.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Great, thank you very much. Ready? 20 Mayfield Road property sale update. Robert, is that good?
Yes, that'll be me. And I just, in your document should be just here to report that the property did close, the sale went through. And in your packet are all the documents from the closing. So, and I don't have it up, and Robin, I don't know if you can bring that up.
It's coming slow.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. So if you go to the check, so I can just, oh, there's the amount as well. 7,000 after the closing costs. The total amount from the sale is 7,674.58. If you remember, the board approved the sale for $10,000. So that's the amount left after closing. Just wanted to make everybody aware. And if you have any questions, I'll be here to answer them for you.
Mr. Day, you have any questions?
None, thank you.
Earl, you have anything? Any question? Where is the money going to capital fund?
Yes, sir. That's what the board approved, was for the funds to go into the capital funds.
I don't think we need, this will be briefed to the full board as part of the committee report on Tuesday.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Thank you. We'll go on to the next one. Custodial procedure for hurricane days.
So this will be me, and I can't, is Ed Pullen happen to be in the room?
No, sir.
Okay, well, I will take it then. If you remember, this was brought up at the last operations committee by Mr. Smith specifically asking about the payment to custodians because we were paying our custodial contractor for those days. Had a conversation with HES. They are going to be submitting a proposal for us that will state anytime there are missed days from a hurricane such as happened before, HES will give their workers the opportunity to make up those hours within a certain amount of time, like within the next 4 weeks. They could work on weekends or extra hours during the day to make up any lost time from hurricanes to ensure that they do not have any lost payment over that time period. They can make that up. So they will be presenting that to us. We have not received it yet, but I just wanted to give this committee a heads up that that will be coming and ask if there are any questions or comments about that.
So will this be an amendment to our existing contract?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Nay, do you have any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Yeah. I have no questions. Okay, very good. Thank you. Now we're at the maintenance and custodial monthly update. Good evening.
Thank you for the opportunity to present the monthly maintenance and custodial report for the month of September. I'm going to go through each section for time's sake and just summarize instead of directly reading through. As far as we'll start with our spot inspection report. So there were 18 spot inspection scores that were noted that fell below the 80% minimum average last month in August. Those that required us to do repeat inspections. Those repeat inspections
joined the meeting
in the month of September. And those repeat inspections did all pass with an 80% minimum required average score. The initial on-site inspections that were done during the month of September did yield 7 spot inspection scores that fell below 80%. So those spot inspections will be repeat inspections will be done in the month of October, and we'll report those in the November report. Overall, 31 spot inspections were completed by district office staff during the month of September, which included 9 schools were visited with an average score of 76.5%. HES, they were tasked with increasing their inspections compared to the previous month, and they did so. They completed 38 inspections for north of the Broad sites with an average score of 82%, and 24 inspections for south of the Broad with a 78%. Staffing percentages, there were no violations noted during the month of September. The staffing percentages shown in the summary report here are listed for each location through October 6th of 2023. So those were actually updated as of last Friday. As far as success for HES, they have gained momentum using the new MBE staffing vendor to support staffing efforts. They've started to use that vendor in the Beaufort market, which has allowed them to identify 7 candidates that are currently going through background screening. In addition, from a staffing perspective, they've also increased 4 of their Bluffton sites during the September period to 100% staffed. So before I move forward with maintenance, are there any questions about the custodial section of the report for September?
Mr. Nay, do you have any questions?
Nope.
What I'd like to have now is feedback from principals. So we've got data now. This is hard data based on your inspection. Now I need a little anecdotal. So I'm hoping that when we query the principals, they're going to say they see increased responsiveness, increased cleaning and things being done. So could you query them and see if we can get some comments about this? Because it seems to me that we're making progress.
I'm hoping so. One of the things that is going out to school principals this week is we do our performance survey that we send out twice a year. So we do it in the spring, we do it in the fall. We generally wait until, give the schools a little bit of time and get the school year started before we put that request out. So that survey actually will be going out, and it's a survey that we've historically done twice a year for a number of years. So we're going to be able to provide in the October report to y'all in November. We're going to be able to provide that trend data so we can actually see how are we trending as it relates to principal feedback.
Great. Wonderful. Okay. Mr. Campbell, do you have any comments? Okay, you want to go ahead to maintenance?
Maintenance, as far as work order percentages, that first section addresses work orders in our current fiscal year. That data has been updated through the end of September. I just want to make note, the completed work order percentage did increase from 80%, which we reported in August, to 86% in September. So we're seeing that move up. The maintenance initiated percentage, which we like to see hopefully increase, that is remaining steady at 12%. Work order totals did decrease overall by over 1,000. And the completed work order percentage did increase from our 68% previously reported in August to 97% in September. The maintenance initiated work order percentages did also see an increase in that. Work orders by craft. These are the two sections that we report on monthly as far as our high numbers, what craft categories. We are still seeing that consistently the HVAC work orders and the general maintenance work orders are our two high craft categories. This month, our HVAC high work orders came in with the school having May River High School having 21 work orders. We did find that May River has been reported before as having high work order number counts, and what we are seeing with that, diving into the data, is that there are communication issues and concerns with the automated logic system there. We are working between our maintenance and district office staff, which includes our facilities construction project manager and our energy manager. It's a group effort with Harris Integrated to identify how we can address that, considering that particular system is a wireless system. So the communication is wireless, which is not something that we have at our other schools. So we're finding, even though that we've added the additional transformers and wireless access points, we're still having the issues with the system not being able to penetrate through the brick and mortar of the building to get those signals across. The concern with that is whenever that communication is lost, then a technician has to manually physically go out and reset the units. So just for note that we've noted that this is an ongoing concern, and that we are having the conversations from a district level about how we can move forward with addressing those concerns. I will say Harris Integrated has been very responsive, as well as our maintenance staff. The other categories, the general maintenance work order totals came in for Wild Branch Elementary School. There was nothing to note here. They had 182. There were 182 work orders for this category, which did decrease. But their requests in this category were very typical, hanging hooks, adjusting cabinets, and those sorts of things. South of the Broad, maintenance staff did complete a blitz and school blitz at H.E. McCracken Middle School. So they were able to complete 50% completion for work orders there. That was driven by the school. There was a collaboration between the maintenance staff and the school to address what priorities the school felt were necessary to address. Moving on to work order completion totals, we did overall see increases in our completion percentage. This was good to see because in August, we reported that the completion percentages for the month in both North and South schools were below 80%. And you can see there with the data that we're actually now moved up and increased to 97%. So that's a considerable amount, and that's good that we're seeing that that trend go up. The work order completion time as well. We saw an increase in both of these, but the increase when you look at the data from last month to this month is 0.60. So we're still within that 4.5 to 5.5 date range on completion timeframes. The staffing for maintenance position, we did update. We talked about this in the presentation last month that we were going to update the total position count based on the fact that we had not been reporting managers and administrative office staff positions. So right now, their total position count is 64. They're currently staffed at 58 positions. They are still vacant, plumbers, HVAC technicians, and a general technician. The good news on staffing for maintenance is they have identified an HVAC manager candidate. He has accepted the offertory letter and he's in background screening. So that is a really significant piece. As far as success, maintenance was able to complete a lot of small project initiatives in the month of August in September, as far as lamp and ballast changing throughout Bluffton Middle School, Okatee and Mossy Oaks. We had floor tile replacement, and then Well Branch had a big sign initiative where they were placing the sign placards above the doors to identify room numbers and teacher names, as well as supporting the district-sponsored employee recognition celebration. So that concludes the custodial maintenance report. So I'll open it up if there's any questions.
Okay, Mr. Nate, do you have any questions?
Nope, no questions. Thank you.
Mr. Campbell? The only comment is May River High School HVAC. That is very frustrating because we have been dealing with that now for some time. It's a new school. It's got the mezzanine with everything up on top. It just seems like we can't communicate into the classroom. I mean, wireless, repeaters can work, but transmitting through concrete is difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like different Wi-Fi or the different towers that we get. There's 5th generation, 4th generation, and everything else, and they have found a way to get through that. And it just seems to me that this should not be that difficult. And if we have to have a fallback, if we run actual wire, then we might have to do that. But every time having to have an individual come out and reset is not sustainable.
It's not.
So we just need to have some assurances that we have a plan to solve this, because this gets really frustrating for teachers and for administrators in school. And classrooms hot, classrooms cold, and it hurts learning. It's a distraction, and it really somewhat understandable in our older buildings. This should not be understandable to have happen there. So, how about at the next operations committee giving us a plan to deal with this? Okay. Any other questions?
Are we able, the problem that we have with the school district, have you ever talked to a consultant, check it out and see what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong? We they can give us some suggestion?
I will defer to Robert on that question. Did you hear Mr. Campbell, Robert?
No, I did not. I understood something about, ask the consultant. I didn't hear about what.
Yeah, about the air conditioning system in the district. Maybe they can give us some ideas of what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong.
We have not brought in a consultant specifically for that. It is something we can look into. But we had a facility condition assessment where they gave a report about all the problems and the status of the units. But no, we have not had a consultant come in, and I guess what you're asking for is a kind of a maintenance review of how we're dealing with our units. Is it more, you talking about on a construction side or on a maintenance side?
On the construction and the maintenance, because I mean, you put a system in, and it still doesn't matter what it's supposed to. Maybe you need to find out from the company that manufactured it what is wrong, you know.
Yes, sir. We are, in the case of May River, we are talking with the, as Brandy said, with Harris Integrated. That's the company that operates our system, and they are the company that installed the system. We're going to be looking at options, and we'll come back next week and report on that. As far as other units, I can look into consultants of that nature. At this point, I really don't know who that would be, but I can look into that.
You got a new HVAC guru that you're about to hire. And that might be a very good start for him. To come out there and evaluate all the systems and come back and give us a omnibus HVAC report.
No, I can do that. And I will say, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I say, and listen to you talk. It did remind me that since we've been down an HVAC manager, ABM did bring in for about 3 weeks an HVAC manager from New Orleans. They brought him in to help assist and run the effort here. And that is one of the questions I did ask. I was like, as he's looked at our systems, is there any suggestions he could make on what we could do better, what we can improve on as far as maintaining them. And his answer was just the number of technicians that, we needed to have more staff to address maintenance problems. But he did not talk about our procedures or any concerns he had with the kind of equipment that we were installing. It was more about the number of personnel, was his recommendation.
The shortage of personnel, is that because of the salary that we pay? Because I remember some years ago, over 10 years ago, we had a gentleman that used to work there, and he went to him dead because the salary was much more than what we pay. So is that a problem?
It potentially could be. One of the things ABM has committed to is and this may help answer your question as well, is they are going to bring a staff member up from another area to do a salary study of their positions and kind of a staffing study that has not occurred yet, but that should occur in the next month or so, where they're going to be looking at our staffing numbers and our salary numbers and give a recommendation on how we might be able to, or how we could improve in those areas.
Thank you.
I had a discussion with the owner of Carolina Air,
Oh, yeah.
and he's been telling me that he has to pay premium to get and keep technicians. And it's very, very, he gets hit on all the time by another HVAC company will try to poach some of his employees. And so he's coming up with all kinds of different ways to try to keep his folks, like not having them work in attics and it's hot, I mean, all kinds of things he was telling me about. So it's a very competitive labor market in that particular industry that we may have to go outside the salary schedules that we've had and look at that as a special case. Because again, I can't think of anything that can have a more negative impact on learning than not having temperature control in our classrooms. So that's a real concern. Okay.
I agree 100%.
Okay, let's move on to grounds.
So I'll briefly just kind of go over this. Back during our August, the operations committee meeting in August, the operations department staff presented a ground contracted service review presentation. And during that presentation, we had talked about the scope of work for these contract services. We had presented kind of an abbreviated, more simplified scope of work. And at that point, it was asked at the conclusion of that presentation by committee members to provide the full scope of work. In doing so, we identified when we pulled the full scope of work out of the contract solicitation that it was quite extensive. And so what you have here for review are two package. One is the non-athletic fields contract scope of work, and the other is the athletic fields contract scope of work. These are the scope of work specifications, and as I said, we specifically pulled these directly from the contract solicitations.
You got it? I have it. You want to get over?
And we kept them in their original format just to ensure that the information that's provided to y'all is inclusive of all the tasks that are being required by contractors. So at that, I'm just gonna leave it to see if y'all have any questions.
Well, this is one of the things Mr. Campbell has brought up many times.
They have did a good job on the middle school. Right by they have all that stuff in the front of the fence. It's kind of big sense.
William just joined.
Okay. Mr. Smith, do you have any comments on the grounds maintenance?
Not really, not in terms of basically, the concerns that I've had, just upon the contract in its entirety, but I think I'll save that for another day, but no. Thanks for the information though.
Mr. Nate, do you have any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. Again, I want to thank you for your reports. They have been absolutely superb and very responsive. I really appreciate what you're doing for us. Thank you. Okay. The last item on the agenda is future topics. Mr. Nate, do you have any future topics?
None at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, do you have any future topics?
Not at this time, thank you.
All right. Having heard no future topics, we are at the end of our agenda. I would ask that we have a motion to adjourn and by unanimous consent. Are there any objections?
Nope.
Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you.